I think sometimes we think we know what makes us happy because society has programmed us with these certain mindsets, but oftentimes the things that really light us up are the little random things that we don't even consider. And so I just think that's where that experimentation comes in, and trying different things and, tracking how you feel after, and really just like going off of how you feel. If something makes you feel very excited after you're done, you need to listen to that. There's a reason that you're feeling so excited, and you probably need to add more of that magic into the world.
Whether you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. This is Wisdom Stripes. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to share something important. The views expressed by my guests are their own, and they may not necessarily reflect mine or those of this platform. My intention with every episode is to create a space where we can explore diverse perspectives, life experiences, and belief systems together. I truly believe that wisdom lives everywhere, and often we find it in the places we least expect, especially in those whose experiences and beliefs are very different from our own. Not every episode will challenge you, but some might, and that's okay. Growth often comes when we allow ourselves to step into discomfort and see the world through someone else's eyes. I also want to share something I heard recently from Oprah Winfrey that really struck a chord with me. She said at a commencement speech, "People all want to know one thing. Was that okay? Did you hear me? Do you see me? Did what I say mean anything to you?" My hope is that you will try to go out and have more face-to-face conversations with people you may disagree with, that you'll have the courage to look others in the eye and hear their point of view, and help make sure that the speed and distance and anonymity of our world doesn't cause us to lose our ability to stand in somebody else's shoes and recognize all that we share as a people. There has to be some way that this darkness can be banished with light. I couldn't agree more with those sentiments spoken by Oprah. These dialogues aren't always easy, but they are so important. My hope is that this episode and all the episodes I share will inspire you to listen a little more closely, reflect a little more deeply, and keep showing up for the conversations that matter most. Thank you for being here with me. It means so much to me that you're part of this journey. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Wisdom Stripes. My name is Meg Tuohey, and in today's episode, we're diving into the world of wellness, balance, and the pursuit of a life that feels truly fulfilling. Our guest today is Shae Brocker, a mum, a wife, a community builder, and creator who is deeply committed to helping other women reconnect with the most grounded, fulfilled, and fully expressed versions of themselves. Shae wears many hats. She is the communications director for a sports medicine staffing company, the founder of Her Healthy Hustle, and the co-founder of Sweatworking ATX, a women's wellness and social club based in Austin that brings women together through movement and meaningful conversation. Through her work and content, Shae offers real-life strategies for working mums to build self-trust, create balance, and reclaim their sense of self, all without guilt. Her mission is to empower women to prioritize themselves and create lives that feel both sustainable and expansive. Today, she's here to share her insights on navigating modern motherhood, building intentional communities, and the wisdom she's gathered from helping women step into their power. I'm excited to welcome Shae Brocker to today's episode. This is Wisdom Stripes, your no-nonsense, fierce fairy godmothers turning pain and confusion into clarity and confidence. Shae, we always start with the same question for our guests. What wisdom would you like a listener to come away with today?
Hi, Meg. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Me too.
I would say wisdom that I want the listeners to walk away with is that you will never regret investing in yourself and taking care of yourself. We spend our entire lives with one person, and that's with us. And I have found that the more I've taken care of myself, the more I fill my cup, the more I prioritize myself, the better I show up for the other people in my life. So that's what I would want people to walk away with. Always invest your time, your energy, and your resources into yourself. It's an investment you will never regret.
Beautiful. My first initial question is, How do you come by such wisdom? How do you know that to be true? And what kind of fire were you forged in to figure that out?
It's definitely come through experience. I'm 35 now, so I know that isn't I'm not super old, but I'm not super young. And obviously, I've had a lot of life experiences from being an athlete my whole life, going to college, going to grad school, moving here to Austin from California. That was a huge one for me. And then becoming a mom here in Austin, away from all my family and my friends. So I just think I've learned this wisdom through all of my life experiences and everything that I've done, because the one thing that I have maintained, or I've learned to maintain through it all, is taking care of myself. We're going to be different versions of ourselves throughout our life. We live a lot of different seasons. I try to look at life in seasons. And as long as we're doing what we can with the time that we have in each season, I think we're going to feel good and feel fulfilled and feel like we're living life on our own terms.
Let's operationalize what it means to take care of ourselves, because there are a lot of ways we can look at this, but let's unpack. What does it actually mean to take care of ourselves?
I think taking care of ourselves looks different for everyone, right? And for me, it comes down to physical health, mental and emotional health, and my spiritual health. So how this comes to be is through my habits. And I know that habits, that's a very popular word that you hear everywhere. And, sometimes people are excited by habits. For some people, they're probably bored, or that's a boring term, not anything that sounds super exciting. But what I found in my experience is that kind of allowing myself to be flexible with my habits and showing up for them with flexibility, with adaptability, is how I do that. Because like I said, we live so many different versions of ourselves. We have so many different seasons of life. And if we are like stuck to this one routine or this one set of habits, it's not going to carry us through every single season. So allowing ourselves to be flexible and really using our intuition. I use my intuition a lot when it comes to taking care of myself. I try to not listen to outside noise. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of gurus out there that are going to tell you to do this exact routine, these exact habits. And I take a different approach, and that looks different for everyone. So that requires you experimenting and trying different things and learning what works for you. So, yeah.
How might you experiment? How might you try? And how might you know what is good for you? How do you actually develop a formula that matches you?
You live life with a growth mindset, to be totally simple and clear. You know that, like I said, you're going to change and transform throughout your life, and you're going to become different things. For a woman especially, like I feel like, especially in motherhood, before I was so into the girl boss culture and I was like so driven and motivated, and now that I'm a mom, I have a way different view on that. I want to make sure that I live life with balance, right? I want to spend quality time with my family, and I want to pursue my passions. So really it comes down to just intuition and kind of approaching things. And especially as women, I feel like society has kind of put us in this space where we outsource like our power, right? Like we're looking for answers outside of ourselves. We're looking for the perfect routine, the perfect habit from that coach that you see online, or we're asking our mom friends what to do in the middle of our night, in the middle of the night when our babies aren't sleeping. And I find that habits are a way to build self-trust with ourselves. And when we build self-trust, we don't outsource our power. We don't look for answers outside of ourselves. That doesn't mean we don't ask for advice from our friends or share things, but we feel confident in the decisions that we're making for ourselves and our family.
I think confidence is a really interesting word. When you say confidence, let's be really clear. What does that mean?
For me, confidence means just, it really means feeling good about myself. And how I feel good about myself is being a woman of my word. And how I practice being a woman of my word is by showing up for my habits. And when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I do it. And even if I can't do it the exact way that I plan to, I show up however I can so that I don't break that self-trust and I don't break that promise to myself. And because of that, I feel confident. I trust myself to continue showing up, to making the best decisions that I can in the moment. So to me, that's what confidence is.
So confidence is a place that we can deeply rely on ourselves. And we do that through creating some form of implicit or explicit contract with ourselves about what's important to us. And in this case, it's about what's important to us in terms of filling our cup, taking care of ourselves, and then being accountable for prioritizing that experience for ourselves, so that not only do we have enough energy to fuel ourselves, but we also build, as a byproduct, a relationship where we realize we can count on ourselves. Have I got that right?
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of women that I work with, a lot of women that I just talk to, they'll ask me, like, how have you been consistent with your habits so long? Because, like, I am a habit routine queen. Like, I love my habits. I love my routines, but I also love to live life. I love to have fun. I like to go on vacation. I like to explore. And, you know, during those times of, like, maybe not being in my routine or my structured environment, yeah, my habits and my routines, they don't look the same, right? So that's where that adaptability and that flexibility comes in, and that self-trust. Because even if I fall off for a week, say I don't work out for a whole week, I don't talk crap to myself in my head, which most of us do, and I used to do that. Now I trust myself to show up after that week when life is happening, right? Because life happens, and that means that we're not going to be able to show up, or maybe our plans aren't going to fall through exactly like we planned them to. But if we have built that self-trust and we've banked that self-trust over time by continuing to show up for ourselves, even when we don't have time, we build the self-trust to be able to kind of go through those times in life where maybe we're not able to do everything like we want to. But that's okay, because we trust ourselves to get back to that place whenever time allows. And we have a flexible mindset, and we approach our habits with flexibility and knowing that, hey, just because they look this way one day doesn't mean they have to look the same way the next day. We're allowed to change, we're allowed to evolve, and so are our habits.
Have you found over the course of your 3.5 decades that the things that fill your cup have changed?
Absolutely.
Can we talk about that?
They've changed, but I think one theme remains the same, and that is I do what I'm passionate about. I'm a Scorpio. I see the world through astrology. That's the lens that I see a lot of things through. So I'm very attached to my Scorpio design, and that means I'm a very passionate, multifaceted person. And knowing that has allowed me to continue leaning into things I'm passionate about, because I know that that's what makes me the best version of myself. If I'm not doing the things that fill my cup, and for me, that's my health and wellness, connecting with like-minded women, adding value to the world, if I'm not doing those things, I'm not showing up as the mom, the wife, the friend that I know I'm meant to be. So I really feel like as I continue, yes, my passion and, you know, what I'm interested in, of course it changes over time, and it changes with every version of myself. But that theme of passion remains the same, and I keep that top of mind, knowing that it's important for me to continue leaning into what I'm passionate about in every season of life in order to be the best version of myself.
So when we're talking about passion, your passion versus my passion versus our listeners' passions, they're all very different. There might be some crossover, there might be some similarity. We're all different people with a different expression of self. If you're listening to this as a listener and you're like, well, good for you, Shae. I'm glad you know what you're passionate about, and I'm glad you get to live your life that way. I don't know what my passion is, and I don't know where to start to build a life that resonates for me. What advice would you have for them?
Think about what lights you up. What are the things that you do that you get lost in? What are the things that you do where all of a sudden you forget what time it is, and all of a sudden it's hours later and you feel super lit up, even though you've spent a lot of time doing something? And yeah, you may be tired, but what do you do that makes you still feel lit up after the fact? And like I said, that can change, honestly. Like, I'm very go with the flow when it comes to my passion, because like I said, I could be passionate about something different every day, but it's just like kind of flexing that passion and creativity that fills me up. So if somebody wants to know where to start, the first thing I would say is just keep a journal and kind of like track things that you're doing and how you feel after doing them. I think sometimes we think we know what makes us happy because society has programmed us with these certain mindsets, but oftentimes the things that really light us up are the little random things that we don't even consider. And so I just think that's where that experimentation comes in, and trying different things and, tracking how you feel after, and really just like going off of how you feel. If something makes you feel very excited after you're done, you need to listen to that. There's a reason that you're feeling so excited, and you probably need to add more of that magic into the world.
So no matter where you are, you can start and pick up the commitment to add more of your own version of passion, which might not look like, sound like, be like mine or yours. And that is still perfectly right. And you can start adding that in, sprinkling that in.
Yep.
Yeah.
One other thing I would say is, like, if you are able to, ask your parents what you love doing as a child.
Oh, that's a lovely one. What did you like doing as a child?
I loved performing and dancing and singing. Like, there's like tons of videos of me as a kid where I was just dancing and singing, and I just loved to perform. And I don't necessarily know how I do that now. I guess I do it through content creation, really. And that is like the one thing I will say, creating content is something that has really helped me be happy in this motherhood journey. And I say that to say, I'm not saying that having a creative outlet has really supported me as a mom, because it's such a never-ending thing. And they say the days are long, the years are short. But it really is one of those things that, like, when you start doing, you realize there's no end in sight. And that was really restrictive to me. Like, it felt really just heavy and tight and intense. And I felt like my emotions were coming out in unhealthy ways. And when I started leaning back into my content creation and connecting with women online, my mindset totally changed. And so I just know that for myself, having a creative outlet is super important in motherhood, in life in general. I feel like if people aren't expressing themselves in the world, like, you're holding something in that you should be sharing. And I think that's a disservice to the world.
Even if the world is your home.
Exactly.
And your garden.
Yes.
And your community.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be on a platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It could be the way that people express their creativity and their passion can be in so many forms, from cooking to even just moving your body, to dance, to creating art, whatever it is. There's so many ways that you can express yourself creatively. And I have found that the older I get, the more important that is to me. And the funny thing is that I actually didn't consider myself a creative person growing up. And that's actually taken me creating content, doing my job, experimenting, exploring different hobbies and activities to realize, whoa, I am a creative. I just didn't know that. I grew up as an athlete. I was very structured. There was step 1, 2, 3, and I followed those steps 1, 2, 3. So I never considered myself creative. And it was through kind of putting myself out online and allowing myself to explore these things that I was interested in and figuring out how to share that in a way that resonated with people that I figured out that I was a creative person. And now I kind of think about that sometimes and laugh, because I don't know who I would be without my creative expression. And I think if more people had the permission to explore their creative expression, they would find a lot more fulfillment and happiness.
I agree. Sometimes when we use the word creative expression, humans, women, we can get a bit like, oh, but not me. So I like to play a game, and the game's called Yeah, But. So you ready, Shae?
I'm ready.
Yeah, but Shae, you don't understand. I can't draw. Yeah, but Shae, you don't understand. I don't have time to go to dance classes. Yeah, but Shae, I have 2 left feet. Yeah, but Shae, I am worried about starting something. I've got all of these other responsibilities that are legitimate. Yeah, but Shae, you don't understand. You get to have your life like that, and good for you. But I'm not you. I work a different type of life, and I am busy from end of day to the beginning of the next day, and I don't even have a moment to myself. Yeah, but Shae, you don't understand. I can't afford to change anything. I can't afford to change my life. I wish I could. I'll just have to do it later. Yeah, but Shae, I can't paint. Did I mention that? I am also not crafty, and I don't want to be on TikTok. And so how am I supposed to have this life that you have access to when I don't?
Well, first, we have to start with mindset, right? Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And I truly believe, I used to be I don't know if I would call myself a pessimist, but I feel like growing up, I was more of a half glass empty girl than a half glass full. And that's been a practice in terms of like seeing the world more optimistically and kind of developing that growth mindset, right? And I truly believe and not to sound harsh, but you make time for what you value. So if you're in this yeah, but thing, go back to your values. Go do a practice so that you can get clear on what you actually value in life. Because if you're not taking action towards what you truly value, not what society tells you should value, what you value, you're going to get to the end of your life and you're going to have a lot of regrets. And that is the one thing that I'm trying to avoid at all costs. I do not want to get to the end of my life and regret anything. I don't want to think, oh, when I was 30, I should have done that thing, or when I was 40, I should have done that thing, when I was 50. I know that at the end of our lives, we probably have those feelings and those thoughts, and I want to prevent regretting things at all costs. So I allow myself to try things, and I make time for things that I'm interested in. I make time for things that make me feel good. I make time for things that excite me. And in turn, that actually gives me more energy for the other things that I have to do in life.
So what you're saying is I can find a way. What if I can't paint though, Shae?
Well, if you can't paint, I'm sure you can do something else.
Yeah, but I don't have a creative bone in my body, Shae.
Well, creativity isn't always what you think it is, right? So what makes you feel creative? Does putting on a cute outfit make you feel creative? Does going to a coffee shop and being in an active environment and sitting at your laptop and writing make you feel creative? Not even writing, just journaling about your week, start small. You don't have to be a writer to be creative. You can literally start with bullet points of things that happen throughout your week and just allowing yourself to get out on paper what's in your head. Maybe being creative is showing up for your habits in flexible ways, right? Maybe I set out this plan to do this hour workout, but something happened, something messed up my day, life is happening, I only have 15 minutes. Now, how can I creatively pivot to get a little movement in and to still show up for that promise I made for myself? So I say that to say, try to not look at creativity through like the lens that you maybe grew up thinking being creative was. Think about ways that you can add in a little bit of creativity to things that you actually like doing. And that could even just be a difference in approach, a difference in mindset, a difference in perception.
I love that. It sounds to me like you have a very strong relationship with self, a highly attuned, good amount of self-trust currency in your emotional bank account with yourself. Is that accurate?
Yes, and I appreciate you saying that because that's something that I've worked really hard on over the years. So yes, and that to me is one of the most important things in life, just the relationship you have with yourself. Because like I said in the beginning, you are the one person you will spend your entire life with.
Do you have any wisdom on how you built that relationship outside of the things we've talked about already?
Yeah, I mean, I will say like my first transformative thing in my life was when I was 19. I was a college athlete and I lost 50 pounds. And I did it however I did it. I did it Weight Watchers. I was doing a lot of different things. But it was the first experience in my life where I was like, whoa, I have the ability to change things that I don't love about myself. And that was just the most eye-opening experience for me. And that kind of just cracked open something in my mind where I was like, oh, okay, I get to make life like what I want it to be. I don't just have to do what I was conditioned to believe I was supposed to do. And I grew up like parents, grandparents, very traditional. Like you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college and get a scholarship, and you're going to get a job, and you're going to do all the things. And after college, I went to grad school, and I got my first job out of grad school, and I was really enjoying my job. And then all of a sudden at 25, I was miserable. I was just in a job that was soul-sucking. I realized I did not want to be in an office from Monday to Friday, from 9 to 5. That's just not the life that I was meant to live. And that was like the first time in my life where I really had to dig deep to find the courage to do what I wanted to do, not what everybody else told me I was supposed to do. I had been following the rules and the steps forever. And yeah, sure, I was doing well, but was I happy and was I fulfilled? No, I wasn't. And so really allowing myself to do what I wanted to do at that point in my life, I feel like gave me a lot of confidence, and having that transformative experience where like I changed my physical body and I did it by myself and just really learning more about health and wellness and myself in general. So I've had a lot of experiences, I feel like, throughout life that have helped me build that self-trust. But really, it all comes back to just prioritizing me a little bit in every season, not needing to make it like another job or another thing on my to-do list, but just a way that I can show up for myself, continue to build self-trust, continue to feel like a confident person, and just feel good about the way that I'm living my life. Because in the seasons where I've completely just abandoned myself, I've become a shell of myself. I've become reactive. I've become emotionally volatile. I've become cranky. There's other words that I could think of that I won't say right now, but that's just not the version of myself that I want to be. And so just always knowing that the relationship with myself is the most important one to lean into, because if I'm not leaning into that one, I'm not showing up for my other relationships the way that I want to.
Hey there, Meg Tuohey here with a quick and exciting announcement. As a psychologist, coach, and founder of the Wisdom Lab, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals break free from the vicious cycles holding them back and tap into their infinite inner wisdom. If you're tired of feeling unheard, unseen, and stuck in the same old struggles, the Wisdom Lab is the breakthrough you've been yearning for. This on-demand program guides you through a powerful process to shatter emotional barriers, overcome deep-rooted blocks, and experience the profound transformation you deserve. In just 4 hours, you'll gain the tools and insights to revolutionize your life from the inside out. Want to learn more? Click or tap the link in the show notes for all the details. Okay, now back to the episode. There's real cadence for me when you talk about relationships, and I can tell how important they are to you. And then, of course, I can tell how important your passions are, because we covered that so well. You made a business where you brought those two things together so women can have community in a space of exercise and connection. Could you tell us about why that brings you such joy and why it's so successful?
It brings me joy because I love people. I love women. I love connecting with people. I love connecting other people. I love being a resource. And I feel like by building Her Healthy Hustle and then me and my friend creating Sweatworking last year, that's given me the opportunity to connect with women over things that I'm really passionate about and things that other women probably want to learn, but maybe they don't know where to start. So I love being a resource for women who, like I said, maybe want to add a little bit more balance into their life. Maybe they want to focus more on their health and wellness, but they grew up with certain habits or mindsets that are holding them back from really like making those changes. I like to make change in your life something that's kind of fun, right? Like life is an experiment. Like we are a project, and it's like a lifelong thing where we continue to work on ourselves and we continue to learn more about ourselves. We learn more about others. And so with Her Healthy Hustle and Sweatworking, it gives me the opportunity to connect with these like-minded women. And to me, that's like the best thing in life, really. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I just love being in community. And so I feel like those two avenues have really allowed me to continue doing that consistently and connecting with the type of women who are also on that same wavelength.
What's so good about it for you? Like, I hear all of that. I just, if you went down in your elevator, down 5 levels, what's at the base of all of that? Because it's all so true. I see it, but I feel like there's something that underpins this whole thing.
You know, I love something that's important to me is feeling seen, feeling loved, feeling valued. And I think I like to provide that for other people. If I'm in a room with somebody, it doesn't matter who it is, where I'm at, I'm going to talk to everybody. I can find something in common with all people. And I think that I enjoy making all types of people feel seen and feel valued because I know what a difference it's made in my life when people have seen me and valued me. And I think kind of being a light in other people's life and shining your light so that you're giving other people permission to shine their own light, right? And that's what I think that community and kind of having this online space has allowed me to do. I have like really cool conversations and meet really cool women in the DMs. I have friends like literally all over the world, like a lot of people that I probably won't ever even meet in real life, but we have these really cool personal relationships where we're able to be vulnerable with each other and talk about things. And vulnerability is something that, if we really dig deep, is something that drives this. I was never like super vulnerable growing up. I was pretty guarded, and now like I'm super vulnerable. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything and I'll tell you. And I love that about myself because it's something that I've seen progress over the years and go from like not having the ability to even share personal things about me with my closest friends, to being able to share things online with complete strangers. So probably when I think deeply about it and boil down, it also comes to that vulnerability piece, because as women, we need other women. We need support. We need community. We need safe spaces to be vulnerable and to explore those feelings and express ourselves. And so, yeah, I would say that vulnerability piece, the more I talk, is probably what draws me to it so much.
Yeah, it makes sense to me because I feel like all the things you've talked about are so accurate and interesting, and they all feel like symptoms. And so what's underneath that is always the really interesting thing to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah. I have another question for you. I might butcher this analogy, friends who are listening. So if I do, give me a little grace here, please, because I'm just trying to bring the concept in and I might not name it correctly because sometimes my beautiful brain can forget the names of things. There's a phenomena that has recently come to my attention about women in their midlife stages, those busy stages of parenthood and work, and life gets really busy, 30s, 40s, 50s. I think it maybe eases off in your 60s, potentially. And the phenomena is around the catch-up friend. So if you and I are friends, and maybe we met 10 years ago, pre-children, and we had the time to make friends with each other, we had space, and we used to do things together. We'd go to concerts, we'd hike, we'd have picnics. One time we went away on a vacation together, and we did things where we had shared experiences. And fast forward now, it's 10 years later, we're both in the thick of career and motherhood and lifehood, and it's a lot busy. And when we get together, we don't make new memories. We talk about the old memories, or we catch each other up on our lives. And there's this deficit of not making new memories together. That means that even though you and I getting together is deeply satisfying because we're old friends and we love each other, and I want you to know about my life and I want to know about your life, and I like that we're updating each other on our lives, we actually don't do anything together. We don't vacation together. We don't do a concert together. And if we do, it's once every 5 or 7 years. We're in a different stage of life and we don't have capacity to add to our experiences. When I listen to you talk, your life sounds like the antithesis of that. And so it occurs to me that this could be a really interesting conversation about bridging the gap.
I love that you brought this up. Like, I'm getting excited just thinking about this topic, because I even have like a really great action item for people to do if they're in this space, something that me and my girlfriends from high school are doing. But I value friendship. I value the people in my life, from all stages of my life. I am the friend that keeps in contact with people, and moving to Austin from California has really required me to do that even more, right? Because I want to stay connected to the people that I love. So I totally hear what you're saying and can understand how that can be a challenge for a lot of people. But this is where prioritizing the things that we value comes into play. This is where making hard choices and doing the things that you want to do and you say you're going to do comes into play, right? So if you want to stay connected to your friends, make that effort. Even if it's once a month and you're reaching out, make the effort. Like, be the person that's leading that so that you can start to feel in a connective place with those people in your life. Because I promise you, if you stay connected to your girlfriends, especially in motherhood, it's going to be a lot smoother. Like, I can't imagine not having my girlfriends to talk to throughout this whole journey of motherhood. It's like so intense. There's just so many things going on. It's hard on your marriage. It's hard on just who you are as a person in your identity. And I get through that with my girlfriends who are going through similar experiences. Me and my best friend joke, we don't have matching best friend bracelets. We have matching problems right now in our life, which is usually just chaos going on around us at all times. But something that me and my girlfriends from high school are doing currently, we actually just started at the beginning of this year, is something called Waffle Wednesday. People have maybe seen it going around online. But like I said, I'm 35. So me and my girlfriends are all going to do a big trip for our 40th birthday. And so what we are doing leading up to that trip is Waffle Wednesday. So we're in a group text and we send updates every single week. It could be something as simple as like, I'm having a good day and this is something exciting happened, or they could come in with a challenge or a problem, something that they want advice on. But what this does is this provides a platform and a space for us to stay connected and for us to stay, in the know about each other's lives, so that when we get to that point, we don't spend the whole weekend just catching up on a bunch of random stuff. But when we get to that point, we're actually going to be together, making new memories and really just being present with one another. So if that's something, if being more connected to your friends is something you want to do, the first thing I'm going to say is like, make it a priority. Like, you have to make time to do that. And if it's something that you're thinking about, it's something that's important to you. So make the time, even if it's 5 minutes. Set in a reminder in your phone, on your Google Calendar. Do it once a month, every other Wednesday, whatever it is, something that doesn't feel too much, but that feels like okay for you to be consistent on. Put a little reminder in there and say, text somebody that you love. And when that reminder goes off, whoever comes to mind, go ahead and reach out to them with a text. One other tip I'm going to say is voice noting. I feel like a lot of times we don't want to get on the phone. We don't want to get on FaceTime. We don't want to sit and text. That takes a long time. Voice note with your friends. I voice note with my friends all day. It's literally like a walkie-talkie. And I feel like that's a really easy way for us to stay connected without having to spend too much time, like I said, on the phone or sitting there texting. So yeah, I think friendship and the relationships that we make throughout our lives are one of the most important. I really think that's the point of life, is to be connected to people. So maintaining your relationships and your friendships is super important. And there are easy ways to do it without it feeling overwhelming or like unnatural.
Waffle Wednesday, I've seen the trend online too, and the trend that I've seen is where you do a video recording of yourself and you do an update, and then the group that you're in all do the same thing every Wednesday. Then you watch everybody's, and I guess you respond as well. But the idea is that we all have to do it just once a week, and the pressure is off to try and do more than that. And you also have some efficiency in that everybody does it.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of block your time and get it done, but also it brings something to look forward to and such value to keep up to date with other people, offer advice, offer congratulations, offer support, offer witnessing.
Yeah. And even like, a lot of people move away. A lot of people that maybe we grew up with were our friends in younger years, like we're all spread out across the country, across the world, whatever. And so, using our phones to stay connected, like that's why we have those little things, right? To stay connected to people. So instead of sitting and scrolling and mindlessly taking in information that probably is not benefiting your life, use that time to like call or text a friend. Send a note of gratitude. Just say something kind so that that other person knows that you're thinking about them, and then you're continuing to maintain that connection. And that's the one thing, like, I think the internet is a beauty and it's a blessing and a curse, right? Like, we're so connected. But how are you utilizing that connection, right? Are you staying connected to people and information that is making you feel bad about yourself? Or are you staying connected to people and information and resources that are actually adding to your life?
Like nourishing. Perhaps we could look at it as a nourishing perspective. So sometimes when you're scrolling Instagram or TikTok and you're doing the thing, you can come across really exceptional conversations that are so nourishing, where you're like, oh, there's a word for that thing that I'm understanding now about myself. Oh, that's so helpful. I've just learned a bit more about it. And other times you can be caught in the loop of all of the negativity that comes from it. And I don't think we need to go into that. So I feel like what we're talking about is have the lens of nourishment as you're engaging in your types of conversations, in your intentionality about staying in connection with your friendships and your loved ones. And if you're like, oh, I'm not going to call today, wait, hang on a second, I'm not going to voice note today, I'll just text. Then think about, is it nourishing to text, or is it more nourishing to voice note? And maybe allow yourself the gift of doing the thing that's better for you. And the other thing I'd say about voice notes is you get so much more information when you hear someone's voice. You can hear the tone, you can hear the cadence, you can read between the lines, you can hear what's not said, you can hear what is said in the way it's meant. And we lose all of that detail when it's texted or emojied. And there's a time and a place for texts and emojis. I do love them. And there's also, it's helpful when you have more data about the person so you can understand where they are and meet them where they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, next question. Curious minds want to know, you're a person who is very focused on growth, on self-development, on figuring out life. You have a great zest for life, which I think is awesome. The thing is about being in the human suit that we are in is that we're always working on something, and we find some things very easy and some things not so easy. We would love to know a thing you're working on right now that's not that easy, what it is, where you're at with it, and the kinds of things you're doing to figure it out.
I think the thing that I'm working through right now, and I feel like I'm almost on the other side of it, but just kind of recalibrating since having a baby. I'm sure you understand this challenge.
Yes.
Oh man, having a baby is one of the most wild experiences that I've ever had. I wanted to be a mom my entire life, so it is. I love being a mom. It's the best job ever. It's the most important job I will ever have. But what I've learned in this last 2.5 years is that motherhood is part of me. It's not all of me. And I think society and just the world makes us believe that if we're not a martyr mom and if we're not like constantly giving to our children or our family, it's kind of selfish. And I found that just giving in the earlier days was really hard for me. And I was becoming resentful. And I was becoming reactive and snappy, which is not the version of myself that I want to be. And so I think in the last 2.5 years, my challenge has been recalibrating and just like regulating again. Like I worked so hard on myself the first 33 years, well, not 33 years of my life, but I would say my my journey into personal development started when I was probably 23, 24, right? So from 23 to 24 to 33, my focus was like, how do I develop myself as a human? It was meditation. It was like finding space. It was being less reactive. It was being not less emotional, but being more intentional with my emotions. I am a very emotional, sensitive gal. And so my emotional health is something that I kind of struggled with. And I think it was the catalyst for why I started working on myself, because things would come out of me that I wasn't super proud of. And that would make me feel crappy about myself later on. And I was like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to live that life. So when I became a mom and had a baby, I had so much less quiet. My environment was it was not controlled anymore like it was before. And so that brought out old versions of me. And I was like, what the heck? I thought I meditated this out of me the last 10 years. And here it is. It's like coming out of me again. Where is this coming from? And it was then that was making me more mad at myself. And I was getting more annoyed, more emotional, more snappy, more reactive because I was feeling bad about not being that same version of myself. I was just stuck and I was caught in this like horrible space. And when I finally kind of, how do I even say this? I guess when I finally just realized that this is my new reality, I have to figure out how to do with it what I can. Like I have to figure out how to keep showing up for myself in a way that's sustainable, in a way that feels good, in a way that's flexible. And so I'd say in the last 2.5 years, it's really just like getting back to that space of like peace and quiet in my own mind, because motherhood is the most overstimulating thing ever. Throw a dog in there. If you have a dog at home, like it is the most overstimulating thing ever. And I grew up an only child. So I realize now how important space and quiet is for me. And even though I'm an extrovert and I love people and I love being around people, meeting people, talking to people, I also need that quiet time to recharge so that I can show up in the world with my light, right? So it really has been a journey of figuring out how to balance both motherhood and work and myself, and knowing that, yeah, you know, parts of me are going to come out throughout this, parts of me that aren't proud. Yeah, I might be reactive sometimes, but knowing that that's not the type of mom I want to be, and proactively doing things that are going to help me show up as a more regulated, engaged, present mom is like what's super important to me. But it's been really hard and it's been a journey, and it's why I'm so passionate about sharing this stuff online and really being vulnerable and open and just being honest about how I'm feeling and things that come up, because I think motherhood is really lonely. It's super isolating. And we're all like just in our house taking care of our kids, wondering like, where are like these parent friends? Like, where are people that we can hang out with that are in the same season of life? Well, we're all probably like in our house or taking our kids to the park and just all feeling the same way, you know? So kind of figuring out that balance and just doing what we can in the season of life is just so important, because it is something that completely takes over your life. When you're in it, you realize there are no days off. And so doing what you can to just like feel good about the process is so important, because I feel like I was fighting it and I was resisting it for so long. And now that I'm allowing myself to just like make myself a daily habit, however that looks, and even if that's 5 minutes or an hour, it makes me feel good about myself, and it makes me wake up feeling excited for the day rather than dreading the day.
So powerful, and so relatable. I think that is a very common, if not universal, experience of walking into motherhood. It is so different, and no matter how many stories you capture before, nothing prepares you for the reality of the endless days and nights and the unbelievable amount of love and care you have, and then all the things that go in the middle and in between and in the cracks of that. It is just like no other experience.
Agreed. I agree. And it's like the happiest, most fulfilled, most excited and in love I've ever been. But at the same time, it's also like you're grieving this old version of yourself, and you're grieving this past life that will never be back, but that you loved, you know. But now you're at this place where you've dreamt of being your entire life. So just lean into it. Just be there, be here now. But it's so hard. It's so hard, especially when we have social media and we can see what everybody else is doing, and then you're comparing yourself. And in the early days of motherhood, it is very isolating. So you do have more time to think and to spiral and to compare. But that's why like having people around you and maintaining relationships in your life is so important, because in those seasons we need people.
Yeah. And if we go full circle back to where we started, if we're building that relationship with self by showing up and filling our cup with things that truly nourish us, we have enough energy to be able to pour into our loved ones, whilst also maintaining our identity and our sense of self.
Yep.
Yeah, super important.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm curious, like you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody that's in my season of life with a 2.5-year-old, where I'm finally coming back to myself, but I also know that like it's a long journey ahead? What advice would you give to me to help me really just maintain who I am and feeling good throughout the process?
Yeah. I think there's 2 pieces. One is, of course, the easy one, which is the days are long and the years are short, and it's going to go by so fast. And the other one that's more, maybe less used, is that your child, when they're going through their developmental stages, if you can remember that they're a great person and they're not intentionally annoying you or hurting you or hitting you or reacting, or they're not manipulative in any way, they are just trying to express where they are and what they need with their limited communication, that allows you to remember how good they are rather than cast them into the villain character, which under great pressure I think all of us are capable of doing. And then, of course, we would defend our child within an inch of its life if anyone else was to say those kinds of things. But under great pressure, we can move into that blame of them. And if we can stay with our cup filled up, and if we can stay where we get regular breaks and cared for by our community and uplifted, then it is much easier to stay in the remembering that my child's expression of their emotions is just that. It's not about me, and it's not that they're a bad person or a naughty kid or entitled or spoiled or a brat or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They are looking to make sense of a need that they have, and they're hoping you can help.
I love that. It's a hard one to remember in the moment,
yes.
for sure.
Oh, darling.
Especially with like the toddler tantrums, but that's so true. Like not making what they do like mean something about you as a parent.
Yeah.
And I think, there's like a lot of judgment. I feel like a lot of us moms and like just people in general, we judge the way we do things. And it's like everybody's different. every kid is different and how we parent is so different. But that's a really good reminder. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket.
I'll put it in your back pocket.
No matter what she does, it doesn't mean anything about me.
Right. And 80-20.
Yeah.
So you don't,
Good
like,
point.
you just show up the best you can. And there's going to be 20% of the time where you're going to be in your human.
Yeah.
And that's like really normal, and it's helpful for kids to see that. And you make a repair when you break the connection.
Yeah.
That's also part of life. It's good modeling.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's like the most important thing to me as a mom, is modeling good behaviors and emotions for my also very emotional, sensitive girl.
Oh, darling. Amazing. We have had such a lovely time together, and now what I feel like we need to do to complete this circle, our listeners are all kind of gathered around us, and I feel like we're in some kind of comfortable semicircle, and our feet are up and our cozy drinks are nearby and our shoes are off. And it's the last part of the night before we go to bed. And we kind of turn to you and we say, is there any last piece of wisdom or advice that you have for us that you think might serve us?
I would say just continue building and leaning into the relationship you have with yourself. To say it for the third time now, you are going to be with you and only you for your entire life. Even if you have children, even if you have a spouse, even if you have parents and friends and all of the things, you're going to be with you from the start of your life to the end of your life. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you feel good doing it, and that you do the things that you want to do now and that you're not going to regret not doing at the end of your life. So yeah, just the relationship with ourselves is so important, and I think it's one that we don't always think about. We think about our relationships with other people, but not always the one with ourselves, and that's the one that's the most important, so that we can show up in other relationships the way that we want to. So
what a beautiful note for us to end on. Thank you so much for being with us, Shae. It's been such a joy.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
I'm so glad. I'd like to thank Shae Brocker for joining me today on Wisdom Stripes. In today's episode, we explored her journey of balancing motherhood, career, and community building, along with the empowering lessons she's learned about self-trust, wellness, and living expansively. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an update. You can follow Shae and Her Healthy Hustle on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok at Her Healthy Hustle, or visit her website at www.herhealthyhustle.com. To stay connected with me, follow at Meg Tuohey Official on Instagram. Thank you for listening to another episode of Wisdom Stripes. I hope you gained a little wisdom today. My name is Meg Tuohey, and this is Wisdom Stripes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wisdom Stripes. Follow me on at Meg Tuohey Official and leave a comment and review. I'm looking forward to meeting you here next time on Wisdom Stripes.